home runs, 89 runs batted in. He has 29 stolen bases. And he leads the National League in 3 base hits with 13. He also has 29 two-base hits. So Samuel, an ideal leadoff batter, an extra base hitter. Against Gooden, he's had only 5 hits and 34 at-bats, batting 147. This year against the Mets, he's hitting .238. He's had 10 base hits, driving in 2 runs. Gooden with a record of 13-4, and the fastball for ball 1.
I'm a little surprised Milt Thompson isn't leading off and Samuel batting second. I think he's more suited to earlier in the batting order, like second or third, than Milt Thompson, a better leadoff hitter.
Thompson with a lot of base hits as you looked at him in the on-deck circle, and Samuel bounces one through, and he is on. So the Phillies have the first hit of the ball game.
Center fielder, number 24.
Fastball, and Johnson has to play Samuel shallow. Howard plays a shallow third base for the most part anyway, but because of the threat of the bunt, that high hopper over the head of Johnson.
Phillies have 97 stolen bases, not too many, but the first 2 batters in the batting order with 29 and 41. Milt Thompson with 41, hitting .315. Thompson with 7 home runs, 39 runs batted in. So Thompson, who has been a hot batter for the Phillies, and a throw to first base, Samuel back. Thompson has hit Gooden very well. 7 for 15, batting .467 against Dwight Gooden. He's had 30 infield hits, and that was probably the point that Tim was bringing up as a leadoff batter. He is a infield hit type hitter, has outstanding speed. And the first pitch by Gooden, his first curveball, it's strike 1. In his last 34 games, Thompson has batted very well, hitting .384, and there's his average against Dwight Gooden. Batting .300 against the Mets this year with 12 hits. And the pitch back, a fastball, strike 2.
Also with Samuel, and you know, this is not a real big point or a key point or anything like that, but Samuel struck out 135 times this year. Thompson only 70 times, half as much.
So a 2-strike count. Crowd applauding for the strikeout, and there goes the runner. The pitch is taken, strike 3. The throw is not in time, and on the strikeout, Samuel steals second base.
Stolen base number 30 for Sammy this year, and he really had a terrific lead. Fastball on the outside corner. Thompson doesn't agree. A good throw by Carter, a little high, but because of the lead Samuel had, no way you're going to throw him out.
So a runner in scoring position on the stolen base, and with 1 man out, the batter will be Von Hayes. Hayes hitting .293 with 19 home runs, 75 runs batted in. Hayes with 31 doubles. And the curveball for ball 1. Von Hayes led the National League in 2 base hits last year. There are his stats for this year. Off to a slow start, has been hitting much better lately. Hitting .175 against the Mets this year with 7 hits, one of them a home run. And the fastball for ball 2.
It's interesting to note, as you see his career average against Gooden, how Samuel at second base stays outside the baselines, and as the pitch is on its way, he moves into the baseline to maintain some mobility when the pitch is made. That's an old Maury Wills feat. He's way behind second. Look how far he is out of the base, and then he comes up into the baseline as the pitch is made.
This ball blooped into left field for a base hit. McReynolds has it. The throw home is in line, but not on time, and on the throw home, Von Hayes moves on down to second. So the Phillies get the lead as Hayes drives in the first run of the ball game.
Where's your cutoff man? What happened to Howard Johnson on that play? There was no cutoff man that I saw. We'll see. This little looper. Now your third baseman on a ball hit to left field's got to be the cutoff man. Johnson was there, but it was to his right. So McReynolds not hitting the cutoff man. Had he hit the cutoff man, you may prevent Hayes from going to second.
Yeah, but his throw was on line. The cutoff man was not in line.
No. Howard was really not lined up properly from the left field to home plate position. Hayes at second base.
And the batter is Mike Schmidt. Schmidt hitting .300 for the year with 28 home runs, 93 RBIs. And a play on at second is close, but a safe call by second place umpire Jerry Crawford.
And the third base coach usually checks the shortstop. Shortstop here is playing way over there in the hole, so he's no threat for a pickoff.
Popped him up on the right side. Tim Tuffle in the outfield grass puts it away. Schmidt is out 2 down, and that'll bring up Lance Perry.
From the ballpark after the players had gotten their luggage.
Light rain falling at arrival time. Now the batter Parrish, and he takes for ball 1. Parrish hitting .243 for the year with 15 home runs, 60 runs batted in.
Check swing foul. It's 1-1. Bruce Ruffin pitches tomorrow night for the Phils against Sid Fernandez for New York. Then on Wednesday night, Shane Raleigh and Rick Aguilera. Back home on Friday night at Veterans Stadium against the Buccos. Inside with a curveball. Phillies manager Lee Elia. Phillies 7 over the 500 mark under Lee with trainer Jeff Cooper there. Two balls and a strike to Lance Perry. Third ball for a strike. It's 2-2.
Big old curve, and there's a lot of break to it, and it breaks quickly.
Ron Hayes at second base. 2 outs, a run in. Phil's lead 1-0. Smothers the curveball foul to Shane Raleigh. Shaner's long arm will grab that ball. Pitcher's arms, Whitey.
He sure has. They hang down to his knees. Parrish has those blacksmith arms.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Lance Parrish. Parrish hit a good and fastball way out of here. Phillies last time in here, so Dr. K will probably try to get him out with a deuce. No, fastball. Check swing. Full count.
One of those half swings. We've seen these called occasionally, but not tonight.
Tom Hallion is the first base umpire. Three and 2 to Parrish with 2 down. Hayes the runner at second. Got him with a curveball. Struck him out. 2 Ks in the inning for Dr. K, but the Phillies put one on the board on 2 hits. No errors in lead.
Jelson, Schmidt in the infield, Hughes, Thompson, and Wilson in the outfield. The catcher is Parrish, and the leadoff batter for the Mets, Mookie Wilson. Oh baby, love that sexy Tim McCarver.
Don't you don't dare comment on that. Watch it.
And the first pitch to Mookie.
That banner is a little scary now.
Nobody said it'd be easy. Mookie hitting .303, 7 home runs, 30 runs batted in. And that pitch for ball 2, 2 balls, no strikes. Mookie has hit in 6 straight games, batting .478 over the 6 games. In his last 20 games, he's batting .400, and he takes a strike, 2-1. Mets as a team hitting .269, second in the National League. They're 4th in home runs with 164. And it's popped up. Samuel, the second baseman, moving back. And he makes the play as Thompson pulls off. So Mookie is out, 1 away. Phillies leading 1-0, and the batter will be Tim Teufel. Teufel hitting .333 for the year. He has 10 home runs, 44 runs batted in. And in his last 13 games, he's batting .375. In his last 16 games, he's hitting .350. Carmen, at one time a relief pitcher, he made 119 relief appearances before he got his first game start. That was back in '86. And a strike call. Last year, he had a record of 10-5. Teufel hitting .250, 3 for 12 against Philadelphia this year. And the fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Carmen's really not the type of pitcher who's a high ball pitcher. You wouldn't expect him to give up a lot of home runs. He's given up 27 home runs, 8 to the Mets in 3 starts.
And a hard slider popped up. Again, Samuel, 2 men away.
And it's a good thing Samuel had an easy shot at it. Von Hayes turned completely around on that little pop-up the other way. I don't know if you can see Von Hayes right here. Look at Hayes. See, he has turned completely around. If that ball was closer to the line, I think Von would have had a tough time corralling that ball, but Samuel, no problem.
So 2 men out, and the batter will be Keith Hernandez. Hernandez hitting .303 for the year, 16 home runs, 75 runs batted in. The 16 home runs tying his career high for a single season. He has hit in 5 straight ball games. Batting .364 over the 5 games with 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in, and he takes for ball 1. And there's one of the banners for the Mex.
I love you, Mex. Well, he has really gotten some big hits the last month and a half, hasn't he?
He's had 3 game-winning hits, game-winning RBI hits in his last 5 ball games, and he has really carried the ball club along. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fastball for ball 2.
Something really, Ralph, when you think about Hernandez, there are a lot of guys who are multi-RBI threats. I mean, a guy like Darryl Strawberry can get 6 RBIs with 2 swings of the bats in a game. Hernandez is more of a big RBI man, a middle-inning RBI man.
There's a base hit as he lines it to right. Wilson charging the ball, thinking he might have a play at first base, but then Hernandez going down the line took that thought away. So Keith now has hit in 6 straight ball games.
Number 18.
Breaking ball just hanging over the middle of the plate. Wilson has done that once this year, and the person he caught was Montreal pitcher Brendan Smith. So you got to scoot down the line, and Wilson will keep you from going down the line and dragging your feet down there. He'll make you hurry up.
He has 17 outfield assists. That leads the National League, and Darryl Strawberry now the batter. Darryl hitting .270 with 32 home runs, 78 runs batted in. He's had a tough time lately. He always has a tough time in L.A. And the breaking ball. Strawberry a home run off Carmen on June the 3rd. Make that August the 3rd. 1 man on base, so he's got to Carmen 1 time this year.
I think that was a first inning home run too, and I believe Hernandez was on base at the time.
Carmen against the Mets this year, no wins and 1 loss. Hernandez the runner at first base. Mets trailing 1-0, 2 men out, bottom half of the first inning. And a hard base hit to right field. Hernandez to second. And holding there as Wilson gets to it in a hurry. And the Mets on back-to-back base hits by Hernandez and Strawberry have runners at first and second with 2 men out.
Another breaking ball. So now when Hernandez, we'll try to zero in on Hernandez and Strawberry the next time they're up. Both of them got hits on breaking ball the first time, on breaking balls. So Carmen and Parrish will probably go more to the fastball the next time up.
And the batter for the Mets will be Kevin McReynolds. McReynolds hitting .279. McReynolds with 24 home runs, 79 runs batted in. His career high 26 home runs. He did that last year for San Diego. And the fastball for a ball. McReynolds has been in a mini slump, batting .182 against Carmen. And the fastball, a strike call, 1-1. Carmen has lost 3 straight decisions, but he's #1 in the staff in average hits per 9 innings. That's 9. He is low in walks, 3 per 9 innings, and high in strikeouts, 5.2 in 9 innings. Fly ball to right field, and Wilson is there. That'll do it. The Mets leave 2 on 2 hits. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR TV's Secaucus, New Jersey. And Gooden with a curveball gets a swinging strike. Wilson hitting .351 against the Mets this year with 1 home run and the fastball for strike 2. Gooden with a lifetime record of 7 wins and 3 losses against the Phillies. 2 of those wins this year. And that fastball just does miss. It's 1-2. Gooden with 2 consecutive complete games. Has a total of 5 this year, and the fastball fouled away. Another 5 complete games. Gooden has had 2 shutouts this year.
Yeah, no time last year did he put together back-to-back complete games. As a matter of fact, those 2 straight complete games, most in a row since 1985, when he put back-to-back complete games together 4 times. That's his career high.
1-2. 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Strike 3. So Gooden with a fastball picks up his 3rd strikeout.
Everybody talks about Gooden's velocity, but when you can throw any pitch right there on the black like that one, you're going to get a lot of hitters out. Glenn Wilson knew it. He just walked back to the bench. Not a lot you can do about that.
And it brings up Keith Hughes. Hughes batting against the Mets for the first time, hitting .348. Been up 23 times. And he gets a curveball.
Phillies glad to get Keith Hughes back. He was originally with the Phillies organization, then went to the Yankees, then came back to the Phillies in the Mike Easler trade June 10th of this year.
They signed him in a tryout camp and then traded him to the Yankees.
Good-looking player.
Had a fine year at Maine. 17 home runs.
In only 90 ball games, he had 57 RBIs down there. Those are good numbers.
1 ball, 1 strike to Keith Hughes. And that pitch is strike 2, 1-2.
Well, of course, Maine is not down there. I mean, it's only down
there in the
if
minors.
Yeah, if you're in Nova Scotia or someplace like that.
No, but if you're in the majors, you are sent down.
Yeah, right. Even though you may be sent up north.
And this ball fouled off the end of the bat. The count stays at 1-2.
And you know, it's interesting. If you're in a Class A minor league, as you look at Steve Jeltz on deck, if you're in a Class A minor leagues and you're sent to the Double-A level, you don't really talk about being sent up. The only time you talk about being sent up is when you go to the major leagues.
From the minors to the majors.
Yeah, A to 2A is not being up to 2A, or 2A to 3A is not up to 3A. But you go to the big leagues, that's up. It's as high up as you can get in this game.
That's where you want to be. And that pitch sailing right over the head of Keith Hughes.
Speaking of up.
He got down.
Watch. It's amazing. We're sending down, and whatever goes up must come down. Wow, that was close.
He was reacquired from the Yankees on June the 10th.
Profile looks like a movie star.
Doesn't he, though?
Good-looking young man.
And the breaking ball is fouled, so the count stays at 2-2.
Sarah, the right field ball girl, it's her 4th error of the week. We just got here.
The Mets haven't even
Yeah,
played.
that's right. Her batting practice today was terrible. Looks like she was trying to feel that with a spatula.
Working out in the kitchen, and there's a fastball for ball 3, so it's a full count to Keith Hughes.
Hey, I remember many times when that glove felt like a spatula. The balls are bouncing out of it like hotcakes.
Walks up a few. I'll tell you, never ever get away from it. The old timers games. Bouncing ball out to first base, and Hernandez throws to Gooden for out number 2.
Yeah, that's why I don't like to play in those old-timer games, because guys are yelling the same things they yelled at you when you were active. I mean, you know, some of those things are nasty, even though they're saying it. Just kidding. I like all that stuff. Box up a crate and all that stuff. I don't need to go through that stuff anymore.
In Chicago, I heard a great one. Triandos was doing the catching, and he was missing a few back there, and somebody in the infield yelled, "Open up the glove."
I hadn't heard that one. That's cute.
That's a good one.
I like that.
And now the batter, Steve Jeltz, and that's strike 1. Jeltz batting 118 against Gooden, 2 for 17. Overall hitting 227 with no home runs, 10 runs batted in. One ball, one strike. Phillies leading 1-0 on a run in the first.
There's a balloon in right field, and Darrell didn't know what to do. He didn't know what. He's approaching it very cautiously. A rather festive evening, huh? Fireworks night.
There's the right foot technique of breaking a balloon. There's several techniques you can use when trying to catch a balloon. Darrell took the cautious approach.
Tell you, a guy used to catch everything in sight, and a guy that you had a line about, that was as good a line as I think I've ever heard. Gary Maddox in our booth now, working for the Phillies, Secretary of Defense, so I guess he's out of office now.
2/3 of the world is covered by water, and the other third by Gary Maddox.
Well, I mean to tell you, he could flat move in the outfield, and now working with the Philly outfielders in spring training and working for the Prism Network, the cable company in Philadelphia, and doing a remarkable job, I hear. Unbelievable. The reviews, Gary, are great. I'm telling you.
Our director just said a terrible thing. 2-2 the count, and it's in there, strike 3. We'll get back to that later. 4 strikeout for Dwight Gooden, a 1-2-3 inning, and the score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Phillies won, the Mets nothing. Now here's a word from Dodge with Gary Maddox, and Tim can explain the situation.
Well, it was July the 4th, 1976, and Gary was at first base. And we were in Pittsburgh, and he tagged up, and I passed him instead of a grand. Bases were loaded. Bases were loaded. Gary was at first, and I passed him, and I got credit for a grand slam single. And we came back to the bench, and Gary said, "You'll never forget me, will you?" And I said, "No."
Here he is to haunt your life forever. He's following you around.
Gary Carter leads it off here in the bottom of the 2nd inning against Don Carmen. The Mets trailing 1-0. And the numbers on Gary this year. 1-1. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play Ask Tim and Ralph. All the answers will be judged by the Marquis of Mountain Lakes, and all decisions are final. Popped up in shallow left center field. Thompson in, and Keith Hughes makes the play. So one away here in the second, 1-0 Philadelphia. And Ralphie boy, here is the question. What was the number on the uniform of the St. Louis Browns midget pinch hitter, Eddie Goodell, back in 1951? This question sent in by Douglas Babbitts of Ramsey, New Jersey.
Well, Eddie Goodell was 3 foot 7 inches tall, but his number wasn't 3/7.
No.
His number was 1/8.
That is correct. All right, Ralphie, baby. Nice going. So we're even again, right? Both 4 and 5?
Now, I got a protest on the last one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if the Marquis of Mountain Lakes is gonna
That's really becoming a race right there.
I'm telling you. And we're in a race right here. The Cardinals losing today 9-2 to Montreal, and it's 0-1 to Howard Johnson. Oops, tried to check but couldn't. 0-2. Oh, Gary Maddox, a very gracious man, a very humble man, has done so much in the city of Philadelphia for the Child Guidance Clinic there under our deprived children from broken homes. He has raised a ton of money to keep that clinic afloat.
One of the first to ever wear a beard in the major leagues, and it was because of an infection that he picked up in Vietnam, and he couldn't really shave. It was his problem with the rash on his face. Very class man.
Came to the Phillies in 1975 for Willie Montañez and retired last year in early June after a splendid career. 1-2 to Howard Johnson. 1-0 Phillies here in the bottom of the second. Almost hit Hojo. 2-2.
Hojo has been a hot batter, but not against the Phillies. But he has done well against the Phillies, but in the last 2 weeks he's been very hot. Right there, the Phillies making him skip rope. In his last 7 games, he's hit .393 with 3 home runs and 6 runs batted in, with 3 game-winning RBIs.
Hojo with 13 game winners on the season. It ties him for 4th in the National League. 2-2 to Johnson. Way outside. 3-2. Carmen from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. About 19 miles from Norman, where the University of Oklahoma is. Fastball is low, so Johnson is on there. The first walk issued by Carmen. RBI single by Von Hayes netted the Phillies a run in the first, scoring Juan Samuel, who had walked and stolen second. It's 1-0 Phillies. Santana loops it foul, 0-1.
Taken over in the National League West.
Well said. As we mentioned, they swept the Phillies over the weekend. Phillies 4-5 on that coast trip. The Mets were 7-2. Starting pitcher for San Francisco at the Dome this evening, Mike Lacoste, going against Mike Scott. Inside and low, 1-1.
Cincinnati won their ball game today, 3-2 over the Dodgers in extra innings. So the Dodgers with 2 back-to-back extra inning ball games. One with the Mets, that was 16 innings. I believe that Cincinnati game went 12.
I believe it did.
And Cincinnati now 5.5 games back of the Giants.
There goes Johnson, ground ball to the right of the shortstop, Jeltz, and Johnson's going to go all the way to third. Boy, the hit and run, there's nothing when it's worked beautifully that shows up like a well-executed hit and run play, and that was one.
This was perfect. The shortstop covering on the play, and Santana pulls the outside pitch. That's not easy. And he gets it by Jeltz, who is coming back to the ball after starting to cover second. Johnson goes to third. Santana with a base hit. And the Mets have Dwight Gooden coming up.
A hit-and-run play well done by Johnson and Santana. Schmidt now in to talk to Carmen. And Von Hayes in. Gooden is a good hitter. He has 11 hits this year.
And 3 RBIs.
11 for 52. 1 out, runners at the corners. Bottom of the 2nd inning. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball. Look how shallow Schmidt is at third base. Unless the ball's hit sharply, I would think he'll come home. Now he's moving back.
Of course, there's always the threat of the squeeze play.
Yeah. Davy Johnson doesn't like that play, but he will use it with the pitcher occasionally. Not now, however, for it's 0-2 to Gooden. On deck batter is Mookie Wilson. Ground ball. Carmen will come home now. Santana's going to go all the way to third base. And Schmidt looking at second, and a good job by Howard Johnson as runners move up to second and third.
Dwight Gooden doing a good job of taking off to first base and then moving on around to second, so the Mets don't lose on the ground ball right back to the pitcher. They pick up a base. Originally runners at first and third, now they end up with runners at second and third. This is not executed very well by the Phillies. Schmidt didn't close the gap, and now he runs the runner toward home, and that gives Johnson time to get to third. And a good job right here by Howard Johnson. Right here, Parrish to Schmidt. Schmidt looking and then throwing, and the tag is made.
Ralph, you made the key point that Schmidt didn't close the gap. He stood his ground. He wanted to get 2 outs. If you close the gap, that's the best way to make it with 1 throw.
Make it with 1 throw, and the other runner, the back runner, doesn't get the second.
Right. It was a good play by Carmen initially as Wilson takes it breaking ball high, popped to second in the first. 1-0 Phillies. The Mets have runners at second and third and 2 outs. Breaking ball high, 2-0. The on-deck batter is Tim Tuffle. Santana at third and Gooden at second. Outside, 3-0. If you're a catcher running a runner back to third base, you don't really have to look at the runner. All you do is look at the guy who you're going to throw the ball to. And in that situation, Mike Schmidt. I don't believe they just walked Mookie Wilson.
They just walked him intentionally. Lee Elias said, with the count 3 balls and no strikes, put him on. And now they'll take on a hot hitter in Tim Tuffle. Elias didn't want Wilson hitting with a 3-0 or 3-1 count.
Good throwing breaking balls. I mean, there are a lot of ways to Mookie, a free swinger. He goes after a lot of bad balls.
That is strange.
Well, the base is loaded now. No place to put Tuffle. 2 outs. Timmy entered the game batting .333, and he has 44 RBIs with 10 home runs. Breaking ball and an important pitch. The first one with the bases loaded. Strike 1.
.222 career average against Carmen, but only 9 at-bats.
Pops it up in the infield. Shortstop Steve Jeltz makes the catch. So the Mets threaten once again. And since then, he's come up with 4 more. 4 RBIs for Don. He leads it off here in the third. It's 1-0 Philadelphia. Gooden has struck out 4. He gave up a single to Somwell to open the game. Somwell stole second and scored on a single by Von Hayes. Strike 2, 0-2. Grounded toward third. Kind of a situation where the bat was swinging Don. Operatic ring to it, doesn't it? Don Carmen. Curveball pulled towards second. Tuffle, tricky little hop. Feels it, throws him out. That's 6 in a row retired by Gooden, and the batter Juan Samuel.
Coming to the plate, second baseman Juan Samuel.
Samuel, the first man in Major League history to have 4 seasons with double figures in the glamour categories: doubles, triples, home runs, and stolen bases. This is his 4th year that he's achieved that feat. He is a marvelous talent. 25 homers, 89 RBIs, primarily as the leadoff batter. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
Rookie year, set a stolen base record, stealing 72 stolen bases, breaking a record held by Tim Raines, and of course that record was broken by Coleman, who stole 110 in his rookie year.
Back in 1985. Good curveball, 0-2. Doc looks sharp.
He really breaks off a great curveball right here. Look at the movement on this one. The old-fashioned drop.
High fastball fouled away and back in the stands. Still 0-2 to some.
See, your old buddy got a call in the note sheet. Richie Ashburn. Von Hayes with 100 stolen bases. The first Philly to have 100, I shouldn't say stolen bases, 100 walks. First Philly to have 100 walks since Richie Ashburn did it in 1955.
As a left-handed hitter.
Left-handed hitter.
Schmidt's done it a lot of times, but Whitey Ashburn, the most valuable player, 1962 New York Mets. Fastball is high, 1-2.
Batted .306 that year and quit. He said, most valuable player what? We lost 120 games.
Guy responsible for handing Marvelous Marv all his quotes.
He just made a hero out of Marvelous Marv.
Another one tapped foul. Still 1-2 to Samuel. Another Philly broadcaster, by the way, Chris Wheeler, who went to Penn State, has a friend watching in Penn State this evening. Kerry Cates, a student there. And you get into a fight when you start talking to both of them about Penn State and Nebraska. Richie Ashburn from Tilden, Nebraska, and Wheels from Penn State up at State College in PA. Change-up drilled at Johnson. 2 outs. So Samuel is down on the scorcher to Johnson, and here's Milt Thompson. He struck out in the first inning. Breaking ball outside. 1-0 to Milt, who came to the Phillies along with Steve Bedrosian for Ozzie Virgil a couple of years ago.
They were talking about Richie Ashburn that first year. He won a boat. And he said, what am I going to do with a boat in Tilden, Nebraska? He did put it in the water somewhere around New York, and it sunk.
Grounded toward third. A typical boat for a typical year for a team that...
The home schedule are available at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or by calling 718-507-TIXX during regular business hours for ticket information.
Okie doke, Ralph, and Keith Hernandez leads it off here in the bottom of the third with the Mets trailing 1-0. On the corner, Keith singled on the breaking ball his first time up, so we'll see if Carmen works that fastball in on the hands as he is apt to do against left-handers. Rusty Staub's going to join you in the fourth, and we just kind of winked at each other.
He's all ready to go, and he's in the starting block.
Yeah.
He ought to have some great material after having all that time off.
We both realize that we are glad in this position and don't have to handle that fastball in on the hands anymore. 1-1 to Hernandez. Whoops, breaking ball. Breaking ball, a very dangerous pitch for a left-handed pitcher to throw to a left-handed hitter. Generally speaking, more mistakes are made with the breaking ball than with any other pitch, lefty to lefty. Outside, 3-1 to the Mets.
You know, when I was playing as a right-hand batter, I never liked to face left-handed pitching. Much preferred right-handers because of that breaking ball being up there to hit, hanging in there.
It's different. You know, you would never ever hear a left-handed hitter say that he doesn't like to face a right-handed hitter. But you often hear right-handed hitters say that they don't like to face left-handed hitters or pitchers.
Toughest I ever faced was Kurt Simmons. Philadelphia Phillies. He had this is when he could throw hard. He had
Before
a
he
real good
had
fastball.
the lawnmower accident.
Yeah.
Cut off half of his big left toe. Fastball is high. Hernandez on there. One of the reasons they trail 1-0. On the corner. Kurt could really blow when he first came up, I heard.
He's one of the best. Of course, he had that herky-jerk motion that went with it.
Looked like he was throwing with about 10 tentacles coming at you. Strawberry fouls the breaking ball away. So Darrell in the hole, 0-2. Cardinals lost their game this afternoon 9-2. Montreal and St. Louis playing in front of 50,200 people up in Montreal. Outside, 1-2. Carmen 6-3 on the road this year, only 3-6 in Philadelphia. Fouls the breaking ball back. That was a hit. Darrell's going to get another one here. It's in the dirt and off the glove of Lance Parrish. Hernandez moves to second, and we'll see how it's going to be scored.
Well, it is a curveball down low. And it bites into the dirt and bounces away. Parrish not sliding over to get in front of it, and it's being scored a wild pitch as you look at it from this angle.
It was in the dirt, but you could see where that ball could have been handled. Not should have, but could have. 2-2. Oh, the hanging breaking ball, and understandably, Darrell gave up on it. And he strikes out.
Well, it starts off at him. And Darrell pulling away, and it just breaks over the inside part of the plate.
Say understandably, because that was a tricky curveball.
Good curveball.
Yeah, it was. Here's Kevin McReynolds, 0 for 1. There is a tennis ball behind home plate. You can see it in your screen between Parrish and Carmen. Now the bat boy over to retrieve it, and play being stopped. Oh, good cut on a good pitch. 0-1. McReynolds wants that one back, I think.
Did pretty well against the Philadelphia Phillies. .274 batting average, and a good amount of home runs with 9. 2 of those home runs this year.
0-1 to Kevin McReynolds. Inside, 1-1. Teams try to pitch McReynolds inside with the theory, going with the theory that he likes the ball out over the plate, and he does. Likes to extend his arms. Fly ball deep to right center. Thompson over, and he makes the play just short of the warning track. Hernandez tags and goes into third base, but there are 2 outs now, and the batter Gary Carter. Off the plate away, 1-0 to Gary. Gary flied to left his first at bat, and he's done well against Carmen. Outside, 2-0 to Gary Carter.
Carter picked up his 1,750th base hit in extra innings against the Dodgers yesterday. As you look at Keith Hernandez on third with 2 men out.
So Gary 250 hits away from 2,000, and Keith Hernandez only 7 hits away from 2,000. Up in the infield. Hayes is in. Parrish looking at Hayes, and Vaughn makes the play.
So the most. He's one of the few outfielders that plays situations and really charges the ball, has an idea what he's doing with it, hits the cutoff man. He's one of the guys that I really respect as an outfielder in the National League.
Leads the National League in assists with 17 and has done it before. Here's Von Hayes, who spends some time in the outfield, also at first base, and Gooden starts off with a curveball for ball 1. Hayes with a blue base hit to drive in the only run of this ball game in the first. Hayes with 112 walks. First left-hand batter to have over 100 walks since Richie Ashburn did it back in 1955 for the Phillies. The record for walks in a single season, 170 by Babe Ruth. Two 2-0 the count as Dwight Gooden trails in the ball game by a score of 1-0. He has struck out 4 through his first 3 innings, and the fastball a strike. Two balls, 1 strike. Top of the 4th inning. Philadelphia 1, the Mets nothing. The first of 3 with the Phillies. And again a fastball strike, and it's 2-2. Von Hayes against Dwight Gooden, doing a good job of hitting. 13 hits and 37 at bats. Over 333. Just does miss, and that ball was close.
That certainly was, Ralph. That's Bob Davidson. It has not been a consistent call right there. Some have been strikes, some have been balls. When you have 2 strikes on you, we can look at it right here. Ooh. Gary caught it, did reach that hand out a little bit, so it was a little bit off the plate, but that's been one of the areas where you got to really, as you see Hayes swing and foul that one back.
So the count remains at 3-2 in the foul ball.
Well, I don't blame him so much for that, because after you take a pitch that is very, very close and it goes to your benefit, you know under normal circumstances you're not going to get another opportunity to get a pitch going your way.
Hayes, with that widespread stance, attributes the fact that he has become a much better hitter because of spreading out. Doesn't have that stride that he had before. Bounce back to the shortstop. Santana will have to hurry. He does. So a good play by Santana on the speedy Von Hayes. Second baseman his first time up. ball is missed. Schmidt has a lifetime average against the Mets of .256 with 44 home runs. Overall, he has hit 522 home runs, and against Gooden, hitting 194. One and one.
A couple of those hits Mike Schmidt had off Dwight Gooden. You saw he only had 6 hits. 2 of them were home runs, though.
And a foul ball, 1-2. With Gooden throwing in the middle 90s and Schmidt with that great home run swing, something's got to go.
You make some contact on that good fastball. Certainly with the power of Mike Schmidt, you're going to hit some home runs.
As Richie Allen would have said, something's got to leave. Boy, he hit some landmarkers. Philadelphia Philly ball player, a great hitter. Of course, he moved around after that. 2-2.
I don't know if this actually happened or not, but Richie Allen and Greg Luzinski was supposed to get together for a home run contest in Philadelphia, an old-timers home run contest. I don't know if they had that already, but I know it was proposed, and that both guys had agreed to do it. To try to find out from the Philly people if that has happened yet.
I think it has. I read about it. I think Allen won it. Of course, Allen is a highly regarded ball player. You got to take him over Luzinski as far as consistency would be concerned.
Well, this is a pretty consistent curveball by Dwight Gooden. This ball almost is a strike. Mike Schmidt getting the benefit of that call. A little bit up, maybe a little bit in, but certainly not a lot of either one.
Gooden could easily have had 2 strikeouts in this inning. A little better call by Davidson, the umpire. There's a curve, and it's hit to short. Good play by Santana. And Schmidt loses a base hit as Rafael Santana turns in a fine play at shortstop.
Rafael Santana is going to show you what a smooth shortstop looks like right here. Ball's hammered in the hole. Nice and easy. Plant your feet. Nice toss to first base. And he gets Mike Schmidt. Watch his plant. Nice and easy. Knows he has him. Good controlled throw. Didn't rush himself.
So 2 men away, and the batter will be Lance Parrish. Parrish hitting .243. Was struck out his first time up, 1 down swinging at a 3-2 curveball. And he gets a curveball for his first pitch.
It'd be interesting to see what happens with Lance Parrish in 1988. Von Hayes, when he came over to the Phillies, had a very poor first season. Really struggled with National League pitching. Certainly, Lance Parrish, an outstanding hitter in the American League, has struggled with National League pitching in 1987.
Curveball, 1-1. You changed leagues. Did you find it difficult when you went to the American League from the National?
Well, I thought it was real difficult the first couple of times around, in that I really didn't know what people had. I didn't know the movement on their ball. I didn't know what their patterns were. For myself, I used to study the pitching so much. I had a basic idea of what most people wanted to do. When I went over there, I had no idea.
And the changeup and the swing and a miss, 1-2. When I went from the National League to the American, as you look at this capacity crowd here tonight for fireworks night, I went to Al Rosen, who studied pitchers as well as anybody, and I got all my information from Al, and that helped.
I talked to the catchers on the Detroit Tiger team. I talked to some of the hitters that I respected in the league about different pitchers, but you really have to see them to know it. In the early part of that time in the American League, I tried not to swing at the first pitch too often. I wanted to see what the guys had.
And the fastball gets him. So Perry struck out the first time on a curve, the second time on the fastball. So Howard Johnson coming to the plate, hitting .280 for the year. 34 home runs and 89 runs batted in, and batting against Don Carmen for the second time. for ball one.
With all the home runs that Don Carmen has given up to the Met hitters in 1987, it looks like he came into this game determined to pitch the right-handed hitters tough inside. He's thrown a lot of breaking balls, but his fastball, he has really tried to keep the right-handed hitters honest by busting them in off the plate.
And there's one right on the inside corner. Good fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. It pays to do your homework and more things than one. On deck batter, Rafael Santana. And the looping curve. 2 balls, 1 strike.
The on deck bat boy was Paul.
Two balls, 1 strike. And the breaking ball inside, 3-1.
I think the Phillies felt that Carmen was throwing too many good strikes to hit with both pitches. Having had Steve Carlton as a study, no one used the breaking ball in off the plate better than Steve Carlton.
And that darting slider that he threw low and inside, just out of the strike zone. And the fastball hit hard at Schmidt at third, so a line drive, but caught. Carmen starts off and picks up a strike. In case you haven't heard, Montreal defeated St. Louis 9-2 today. So the Mets are 3 games behind the Cardinals in second. Montreal now 4 games out. And a fly ball hit the center field. Thompson is there. 2 men away. Batting with the Mets trailing 1-0. And a high pop up on the first base side. Ron Hayes, the first baseman, and the Mets go in order. The score at the end of 3. It's the Phillies 1, the Mets nothing. Now here's a word from Shearson, the Lehman brothers. Fastball. Wilson hitting .268 with 12 home runs, 50 runs batted in.
Which, after a really fine 1986 season, is a disappointment to Glenn Wilson and the Phillies.
Good curveball, strike 1.
You were talking about the Cardinals, Ralph, before. They lost their game today. That loss today put them even Stevens since the All-Star break. 25-25.
Ground ball topped out to third. Tough play for Johnson. He can't make it in time. So the infield base hit for Wilson breaks a string of 11 in a row for Dwight Gooden, and it brings up Keith Hughes. I'll get to the throw. Moving toward the ball to make sure that he had a chance to make the fielding play. And this ball grounded to Keith. He'll go to second. They get none. Santana not on the bag at second as Keith's throw was a little high, and the umpire at second, Jerry Crawford, said he was not on the bag, and he wasn't.
It's just a ground to the first. Hernandez trying to get away from the base runner. Throws the ball up and away from Santana. It pulls him off the bag. The last couple of weeks, Heath Hernandez had a ball that he threw to second base that hit the runner in the back.
So an error.
It really was an error. I think that error will be called on Keith Hernandez, not on Rafael Santana.
It is being charged to Keith Hernandez. So that puts runners at first and second with no one out and brings up Steve Jeltz. Jeltz struck out on a 3-2 curveball his first time up. Batting .226 and hitting in the 8th position in the batting order.
It was Candy Maldonado, if I'm not mistaken, that Keith Hernandez hit in the elbow.
That is true. And the first pitch to Jounce, a breaking ball for ball 1.
As Timmy says sometimes, it's not the throw, it's how you get there.
Phillies leading 1-0. Runners at first and second, no one out. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Steve Jeltz hitting 8th. The pitcher due up next. And the fastball, a strike. And 1 ball, 1 strike. And a good curve just low, and it's 2-1.
I know how much you enjoy watching people bunt anyway. It's one of your favorite plays in baseball, isn't it?
I'm not an advocate of the sacrifice. I'm from the Earl Weaver school.
Looking at Jim Davenport there, the third base coach for the Phillies. Former manager, outstanding player for the San Francisco Giants for many seasons.
Outstanding third baseman, good hitter. 2-1, the count to Jeltz. And a ground ball to short. Santana will go for 2. There's one and the other. And a double play. Wilson goes over to third, and now 2 men out and the pitcher coming up.
Talked so many times about how the great pitchers find a way when they do get in trouble to get out of it. They can find that little bit extra or make that certain pitch that's going to get them out of trouble. Dwight Gooden has certainly shown that ability over the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Now the batter will be Don Carmen, who has grounded out in his 1 appearance, and the fastball for ball 1. As Tim McCarver pointed out, Carmen went a long time without a base hit, 48 at-bats. Now he has 5 in 49 at-bats. And he has driven in 4 runs.
Mets have him shifted over tremendously to left field.
And he's trying to bunt his way on for a base hit to get the run in. Fouls it off.
Which was not a bad move. Tim Tuffle was playing deep at second base, almost back to the grass. Hernandez was extremely deep. Carmen, a pretty good athlete, runs fairly well, especially for a pitcher. Trying to take advantage of everything he could there.
1 ball, 1 strike to Carmen.
He got Tim Tuffle back on the mud anyway.
Yeah, he brought him in a couple of steps. And the fastball is missed, 1 and 2.
Tell you, Rafael Santana, has he played so far over in that hole, there is a tremendous gap between second base and Rafael Santana.
He's really too far over. He couldn't drive
agree.
the ball. He could cover anything that's hit that way because it won't be hit hard. So he's really over too far, I think.
Howard Johnson playing extremely close to the bag. The shift is severe, to say the least.
Awful big hole right through the middle and to the right of the pitcher. And there's the angle right there.
Situation like this, a pitcher should be trying to think like he's in one of those pepper games. He shouldn't really try to make a lot of hard contact. If he just moves that ball on the ground, he can help himself.
He did pull the ball his first time up when he grounded out to second. And he punches the ball. It goes foul.
It was kind of weak, though. It was definitely Santana.
And that pitch, a fastball, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I would say.
And he fouls off another fastball.
And he is battling. You see him choking up on that bat, just trying to make some contact.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Wilson, the runner at third, 2 men out, top of the 5th inning. The Phillies leading 1-0. And the fastball again fouled away.
Claude Osteen behind Lee Elia, pitching coach for the Phillies.
Gomer Powell. Wilson, the runner at third. And the curveball gets him. So Gooden picks up his 6th strikeout to end the inning. 1 hit, a man left at third. There was 1 error, and the score at the end. And Carmen starts off with a fastball for ball 1. Mookie, a better hitter percentage-wise as a left-hand batter, but playing against left-hand pitching, platooning with Len Dykstra, a left-hand batter. Mookie batting .350 left-handed and .269 right-handed. And that's ball 3.
Mookie certainly went through a tough thing mentally when it started getting to him about not playing in center field enough. Got himself in a mental funk there. Had a real tough period for about 3 weeks with the bat, and that really hurt him a lot. He has certainly jumped out away from that. Has himself on the right track now. Been swinging the bat very well as of late.
Last 20 games, he's hit 400 coming into this game. Ball 4, and Mookie is on. He represents the tying run.
The 5th inning is a pressure inning for any starting pitcher. I don't care who they are from time to time. When you get to that 5th inning, that's the one you know you need to qualify for the win. Some pitchers handle it like it's nothing. Some people put pressure on themselves. You certainly don't want to start this inning off walking a hitter. Harmon did that.
Score 1-0. The walk. There goes Mookie. A hit and run play again, and Samuel recovers to field the ball as he was going over to cover at second with Mookie running, but he had time.
So that they can do just that, get back and get a ground ball in case it is the hit and run.
So the Mets with a runner at second with 1 out, and Keith Hernandez the batter. Keith has singled and walked in his 2 appearances. Keith always waits when an airplane flies over until the plane goes by before getting in the batter's box. Some hitters like to hit with that plane going by, and one of them, Rusty Staub.
It's the truth, Ralph. The outfielders, the infielders, they can't hear anything. They can't help each other out.
And the first pitch is ball 1.
There's a play from the outfield, or a play where you have to give some assistance no one can hear. I was just like Keith. I always used to jump out of the batter's box, but then especially in the pinch hitting situations I was in toward the end of my career, I felt it was to my advantage to stay in and hit.
Rusty Staub with 100 career pinch hits. And the 1-0 pitch to Hernandez. Ball 2, fastball, 2 balls, no strikes.
Met pitching. You see Hernandez's record against the Phillies in his career. Give up 8 or 9 home runs in 3 starts. You got to do something different. As far as Claude Osteen is concerned, it's pitching inside.
He has given up 27 home runs this year. Two balls, no strikes. And 3-0.
I would be surprised to see Davey Johnson let Keith Hernandez swing here. Certainly would be an aggressive play. I think it'd be taken.
He takes a strike in the count, 3-1.
Not so 3-1.
Well, the theory is that you get the same pitch 3-1 that you get 3-0. So why not hit 3-0?
Well, I don't think they give you the same pitch.
That's the theory. Theory doesn't work.
That theory's got some holes punched in it, I'll tell you that much.
And this ball grounded to Von Hayes at first base, and they pick up the out. Wilson goes over to third, so the Mets have a runner at third base with 2 men away. And Darryl Strawberry, the batter. Darryl 1 for 2.
Mookie Wilson has to be sure he's alive. Carmen has thrown a lot of breaking balls down in the dirt. There's already been a wild pitch in this game.
Strawberry signaled to right field off a curveball his first time up, and then was called out on strikes off a curveball his second. Time run at third for the Mets. 2 men away, bottom of the 5th, and the first pitch, a breaking ball, a called strike.
That's a curveball on the outside part of the plate. The reason why he beat Darryl Strawberry and struck him out on that curveball last time, because he had been pitching him the fastball inside. He threw the curveball inside. It was the first time he had done it to a left-handed hitter all day long, and he beat Darryl Strawberry last time with it.
And again, the curveball away, and it's strike 2. Thirteen of Darryl Strawberry's 32 home runs have been off left-hand pitchers. Fastball and a ball.
fastball away here.
And it was a fastball. Strawberry just got a piece of it to stay alive. He's in the hole right now.
And it's coming.
Gets it and fouls it. So again, the 1-2 pitch. And it's hit right up the middle. A base hit, and the ball game is tied. Wilson scores. It's 1-1.
That time Lance Parrish called for a slider, not the curveball, and he gets it up right out over the plate. Darryl Strawberry does what you have to do in those situations. He went right back through the middle with the ball. Drove in a tough run, a 2-out RBI right back through the middle.
So the Mets are tied it at 1. They have a runner at first that can steal, and the batter is Kevin McReynolds. Kevin has flied out the 2 times he has been up. Once to right field, once to center. And a toss to first. Strawberry with 25 stolen bases in 34 attempts.
Again, Carmen walked the leadoff hitter, and it cost him.
Strawberry's 79th run batted in. There goes Strawberry. The throw by Parrish in the dirt, and the tag is made. Good play by Samuel to tag out Strawberry, and that'll end it. But the Mets tied up as they scored 1 run on
time to tag Strawberry. But the Mets have tied it up 1-1, top of the 6th. And the ambassador to Orlando, Florida, Steve Zabriskie's in.
Thanks a lot, Russ, and good evening, everybody. Juan Samuel swings and misses at the first pitch for strike 1. Sammy's 1 for 2. He singled and scored the Philadelphia run back in the first inning, and he lined hard to Howard Johnson at third base in the 3rd. 1-1 New York and Philadelphia as we start the top of the 6th inning. That fastball just missing. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dwight Gooden has struck out 6 through the first 5 innings. He has not walked a batter and has given up just 1 run back in the first inning and a total of 3 hits. Grounded sharply to short. Santana over in time. Another fine play by Rafael Santana to put something extra on the ball, and it has been there. Milt Thompson 0 for 2 has struck out and grounded out, and he takes a breaking ball. Lord Charles is around tonight. Dwight has featured a fine breaking ball, strike 1.
If there's any one thing that surprised me when Dwight Gooden first came back was how effective his curveball was right off the bat. It's the reason why he's had the success he's had. And again, a lot of people talk about the fastball setting up the other pitches. I think the curveball sets up Dwight Gooden's fastball.
And I agree. There it is again for strike 2.
And the Mets certainly did not want to get by the 6th inning behind the Phillies, because the Phillies' record when they're ahead after the 6th inning is 51-5.
Thanks in no small measure to the league leader in saves, Steve Bedrosian, who has saved 35 games.
He's putting the clamps down tight.
Thompson with a count of no balls, 2 strikes. And a fastball for strike 3. Strikeout number 7 for the doctor.
We talked earlier.
Field in the first inning. And the curveball dropping in for strike 1.
You know what that really means, Steve? If you're the hitter and you're a right-handed hitter and you go up there and you get 2 strikes on you, you have to cover that. You have to make an adjustment. It's not the umpire's fault. He's, there's been an inconsistency, but he's called it often enough that you just cannot take that pitch.
And you better be aware of that before you get in the batter's box.
Or are you going to tote that lumber back to the dugout?
That curveball too high, 1-1. These are the players Gooden has struck out, and the number of times they have either been taking or looking. And it's 5-2 looking.
And that was a changeup.
Boy.
I am telling you, that was an outstanding changeup.
Only about the second or third one he's thrown tonight, but this may be the best one he's ever thrown.
I'll tell you what, he picked the right guy to throw it to also. Von Hayes pulling it just off that ball automatic. Watch his head. Watch his head right now. He is so far off that ball, he has no chance.
This one low and inside. Last year, he was about all the Phillies have, and at times this season, he's been the only consistent offensive producer.
Well, the Phillies had another player over there that he was only the MVP.
Other than Mike Schmidt. I mean, you can't ever.
Let's don't leave him out of this conversation.
No, in fact, he's automatically included. Carter hangs on to the curveball for strike 3. Dwight Gooden strikes out 2. And retires the Phillies in order. To Kevin McReynolds as we start the bottom of the 6th inning. McReynolds swinging and missing for strike 1. Was at bat when Darryl Strawberry was caught stealing to end the 5th inning. The Mets tying it in the 5th on Darrell's RBI base hit to center. McReynolds has flied out twice, and he rips one fair inside the bag for extra bases down the left field line. Hughes over to get it, and McReynolds hustling into second with a double.
McReynolds has been struggling. It's only his 8th hit in his last 53 at-bats. He really gets the bat hit on this ball. Ball right down on knees. He just jerks it by the third baseman. And I'll tell you what, Keith Hughes makes a pretty good play on this ball to get it back in, but the throw is a little offline, and Jeltz cuts it off. You see it going by Schmidt. It's just a rope. Just missed that ball.
Too sharply hit for Schmitty to get it. So McReynolds at second with nobody out for Gary Carter, who has flied to left center field and popped to first. The strike call.
And credit Kevin McReynolds with a really good double, because had he not really busted it out of that batter's box, he might have had a little trouble getting into second base.
Kevin runs so smoothly that often you don't realize how fast he is running. And you could tell that time that he was hustling all the way.
I was kind of like that myself, Steve. They just couldn't tell how fast I was running.
Oh, it hit the umpire at third base, Terry Tata. The home plate umpire, Bob Davidson, makes a foul ball call. That ball was ripped and appeared to hit Terry Tata right on the leg.
It's got to hurt him right there. Gary Carter tomahawks this ball. Just gets on top of it. We're going to get a look at it here. Ball's up in the zone. He just jumps up there and gets it. Hits in foul territory and just nails Terry Tata. Just nowhere to go. The ball's just hooking right into him.
Smile.
So have to put some ice on that tonight.
Boy, I'll tell you. Nowhere to hide when it comes down the line like that.
I think everybody who's played, who's been at third base, leading off, trying to get a good jump into home plate on the ground ball, they teach you that. That's what you're supposed to practice all the time in spring training. Somebody ropes a shot down at your third base. They got me a few times. I know that. Nowhere to go when that ball's hooking into you.
2 strikes, the count to Carter. Gary lays off a breaking ball in the dirt, and the count. Punches it to right field for a base hit. McReynolds will be held at third as Glenn Wilson fires the ball over the head of the catcher, Lance Parrish. Don Carmen backing up, and Carter hustling to second on the play. Sam Perlazzo had to hold McReynolds up as Wilson charged the ball. There's no way you can anticipate a bad throw.
Gary Carter just goes the other way. It's not the prettiest hit, but it certainly is effective. Wilson, one of the finest arms in baseball, overthrows the cutoff man. You got to give Carmen a lot of credit, or that run's going to score, and give Carter credit for seeing the ball being an overthrow. This is not a good throw by Wilson. This is a terrible throw. I mean, he is very fortunate that he didn't throw over Carmen. Carmen was actually backing up way back there.
Carmen really had to hustle to get back there, too, because that play developed quickly. And now Howard Johnson is going to be walked intentionally to load the bases with nobody out as Lee Elia checks his lineup card. Johnson walked in the second and lined hard to Schmidt at third base in the fourth inning.
Sammy Palazzo certainly cannot anticipate a high throw from Glenn Wilson. As we remarked earlier in the game, Wilson is leading the National League in assists from an outfield. He's got 17 assists coming into this game.
And here's Rafael Santana, who is 1 for 2. He singled to left in the second and flying to center in the fourth.
And has been the thorn in the side of Don Carmen all year.
Strike one.
I mean, there's not too many people can say they gave up 2 home runs in 1 year to Rafael Santana, because he's only hit 1 home run every year.
Until this year. Now he has 5 and 40 RBIs.
He's got a chance to play add-on right now.
And he chases a bad one on the count 0-2.
Bases loaded. Save the run.
McReynolds at third base. Carter's down at second, and Johnson's at first. And Santana struck out on a high fastball for the first out of the inning, only the second strikeout for Don.
See that?
Bases loaded, 1 out, a 1-1 tie in the 6th inning. Fastball fouled back. It was low. It looked pretty good. A fastball at the knees, but it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's loaded, but he got his 1 strikeout. He's working on his second one.
Breaking ball hit the center field. Thompson going back makes the catch. McReynolds tags. He will score. Carter tags and goes to third, and the Mets lead 2-1. Dwight Gooden with a sacrifice fly and his 4th RBI of the year.
Again, I'm going to point out that Dwight Gooden choked up there and tried to drive the ball right back through the middle here. Hits that ball nice and sharp. Nice play out there by Milt Thompson. But Dwight Gooden certainly gets an A+ for driving that run in.
It gives the Mets a 1-run lead. Now runners at first and third with 2 out for Mookie Wilson, who is 0 for 1 and has walked twice and scored a run. Inside, ball 1. Johnson remaining at first. And a pitch out. Johnson not running, and the count 2 balls, no strikes. And Mookie chases one in the dirt. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ron Hayes asks for time and comes in to talk to Carmen.
Sammy Palazzo flashing the signs. I think all the opposing teams also realize that Howard Johnson has the opportunity of reaching the 30-30 club. They think they might be able to take advantage of him by trying a few pickoffs at first base.
Good pitch here on which to run, and Carmen chases Johnson back again.
Actually, with 2 balls and a strike, Mookie Wilson's not behind in the count. I always feel the hitter's ahead in the count when it's 2-1. Mookie Wilson tried to drive this run in.
Mookie holds up on a fastball away, and the count now 3-1.
We would like to see Mookie Wilson have the opportunity to drive the run in.
Fastball is high. Wilson walks for the 3rd time in the ball game. That in itself is unusual.
It's in his last 16 at-bats. That's what I was making reference to before. I always like to try to leave the guy who is hot have the opportunity to drive the runs in.
Inside for ball 1. Strike over the outside. the seats down the left.
He called for that one inside. He called for that one inside. You can help your hitter.
And Tuffle fouls it back.
Things like that happen on good ball clubs. They help each other out.
Tuffle hits it high in the air out of play. Let's see if he decides to go away. Tuffle stepping out while the airliner passes overhead.
Parrish is also a big guy. He moves his body around behind the plate.
Could be a breaking ball. Grounded to third. Schmidt will go to second just in time. Very close play as Mookie Wilson is forced at second to end the inning. Bottom of the sixth to erase a 1-0 Philadelphia lead. The Phillies scoring their run in the first inning. Schmidt has not been a factor so far tonight as he has popped to second and was really robbed of a base hit on a fine play by Rafael Santana deep in the hole at short in the fourth inning. Ripped down the line and left, but it is fair into the corner, and Schmidt will have a double as McReynolds plays the carom. Ball looked as if it was hooking foul, but stayed a few feet fair, and Mike Schmidt leads off the seventh with yet another extra base hit.
They talk about getting the bat head out. That's exactly what he does here. Dwight Gooden throws a fastball. Mike Schmidt, good, quick, strong hands.
What a hitter. What a player.
Future Hall of Famer all the way. Never a doubt.
A lock. So Schmidt at second with nobody out to lead off the seventh inning, and here's Lance Parrish, who has struck out twice, once swinging, once looking, and has looked as if he hasn't had much of an idea as to what Dwight Gooden is doing out there.
He has handled the bat much better as of late. The last 23 games he had coming into this game, he was hitting .286. After struggling most of the season, at least he's having a spurt here.
And he just reaches out and punches a breaking ball to center. Mike Schmidt will score. Mookie Wilson's throw going to second base, and just that quickly the Philadelphia Phillies have come back and tied it up 2-2. Parrish's 61st RBI of the year. Phillies with 5 hits now. The Mets with 6. Fastball fouled off for strike one. The Mets have an opportunity to pick up a game on the Expos, and they would look at it, I'm sure, in terms of the game that they lost yesterday to St. Louis in the 16-inning ball game in Los Angeles.
Montreal Expos are now 4 games out of first place, having defeated the Cardinals. Games out of first place only about 10 or 12 days ago. They have slipped back to 11.5 games.
And their chances were hurt even more dramatically, what slim chances they have, by being swept by the San Francisco Giants this past weekend.
And losing Kevin Gross is certainly not going to help their rotation.
No, although Gross will probably only miss 2 starts.
A little controversy there. We'll try to get to that too. Kevin Gross suspended for 10 days. An infraction like that is without pay, and it shouldn't be up to the clubs.
Fouled back again by Wilson, 1-2.
What good is discipline if it's not going to be invoked?
How in the world can the league office, the National League president, impose a sanction on a player and then have the club negate it? I don't understand it at all.
Well, I think Bart Giamatti's got to rethink that, along with the commissioner and Dr. Bobby Brown in the American League. If someone breaks the rules and cheats, they certainly should pay the price. We're trying to give some example of young people in this country, and here is certainly one of the ways you have to do it.
Pardon me, Russ. Here's the situation with Billy Hatcher of Houston, not even using his own bat that was corked. He gets 10 days without pay, which is a lot more participatory action than a starting pitcher who was only going to miss 2 starts.
I agree.
And Kevin Gross is caught red-handed. A ball inside makes it 2-2 to Glenn Wilson. Something to do with the way in which the rules are not enforced. Half swing, and he's punched out by first base umpire Tom Halley. Wilson adamantly disagrees, but he is struck out, and that is 9 for Dwight Gooden through 6 1/3 innings.
Well, Wilson is certainly not happy. But from the first look, I'd say he swung the bat. We'll get a look at it here. Dwight Gooden, fastball down. And if that's not a swing, I don't know what is.
He did a good job to try to get the bat back as quickly as possible. But again, that is so much of an individual interpretation on the part of each umpire that it's hard to constitute what is going too far and what isn't.
Well, Tom Hallion called that one right, because that was going too far.
Keith Hughes is 0 for 2. He has grounded out and reached on a fielder's choice. Justin is still arguing from the dugout. Lee Elia also having a few words with Bob Davidson, and now Elia, I think, is coming out to sort of plead Wilson's case.
Well, and they get the heat off Wilson. Wilson's got to shut up now. He's an important part of their ball club. He's yelling at the guy at first base, and that's probably what Elia's saying. He's not even talking to you. He's yelling to the guy at first base. But there comes a time where the umpires are going to defend each other, and they're going to tell Wilson to shut up. That has obviously come to pass. Elia making a good move here, trying to defuse this, and probably has.
Here's the pitch in question, the swing by Glenn Wilson.
Dwight Gooden, an unusual pitch by Gooden here. Fastball moves down like that. That bat came across the plate pretty far.
I'll tell you what, I disagree with you. I'm not too sure I would have called that a strike.
That's okay, Steve.
Breaking ball.
You
in
can
the
disagree.
Dirt. 2 balls, no strikes. Thank you. Ball 3 to Hughes. 3-0. Third major league start. Fastball is right in there. 3-1.
Well, Keith Hughes is sitting there right now.
Parrish, who does not have a stolen base, really only a couple of steps off the bat.
Could be running in this circumstance, though. 3-2, 1 out.
It's 3-1, though. I think the scoreboard is wrong. There's that fastball, foul, and that time Tom Hallion, the first base umpire, almost got nailed. Earlier it was Terry Tate at third. After that rip, maybe not. Parrish is running and the curveball is high, so he didn't throw him a fastball.
It was a tough situation when I was traded away from stadium in Minnesota.
Greg Gross is the pinch hitter for Steve Jeltz.
I think
very often, I should say. And Gross takes down low in the count now. 2 balls, no strikes. Phillies with runners at first and second with 1 center field. And the outfield is properly not deep. That one gets off Carter's glove and rolls away, and the runners will advance. Parrish to third, Hughes to second, and we'll see how it is scored. It is a 3-0 count now to Greg Gross.
Dwight Gooden muscling up a little bit here, maybe tiring. Throws it behind Carter. Carter seemed as though he expected that ball to be on the outside part of the plate. Had to try to make an adjustment back inside and couldn't handle that pitch. They're calling it a pass ball.
And ball 4 is issued. They've already scored a run to tie the game again, 2-2. And the curveball high and away. Gooden is struggling with his control as he has walked a pair. Parrish is the runner at third base. Second base at Hughes. And the pinch hitter Greg Gross at first.
He is laboring here. There is no doubt. He is forcing the ball for the first time in this inning.
And a fastball high and away makes it 2 balls, no strikes.
Gooden is coming off 2 complete game performances. So he has thrown a lot of pitches, as you see Randall Myers warming up in the Met bullpen.
One of those last 2 complete games that Gooden has thrown, a shutout. He has won his last 4 in a row with an ERA of 1.72 over those 4 games. The fastball is fouled back off Gary Carter, and the count just burned. Another fastball. This one fouled away, and the count even now at 2-2.
He dealt with him and Juan Samuel.
2-ball game. Dwight Gooden going back to the breaking ball to get Jeff Stone looking for his 10th strikeout. The 34th time in his young career he struck out 10 or more.
We talk about the great pitchers coming up with great pitches. You just saw one of them. What a spot for that, and what a location.
Well, whenever you see a hitter's knees buckle like that, you know you got it
to contend with right now.
Base is still loaded and 2 out for Juan Samuel. Fastball high, ball 1. Fastball and a base hit to right field. Parrish will score. Keith Hughes being sent home. The throw not in time, and on the throw, the runner from first base, Greg Gross, goes all the way around to third. So a big 2-out base hit by Juan Samuel, who now has 91 RBIs on the year, and the Phillies have scored 3 in the inning to lead 4-2.
It's a fastball up and out over the plate. Samuel goes right with it to right field. Strawberry comes up and makes a high throw over the cutoff man again. Gary Carter throw was up the line, had no chance. Samuel, if he'd have been really alert, could have probably taken second base on that throw. Davey Johnson is coming out, and that means only one thing right now.
Davey rarely ever comes out of the dugout without. And Gooden with the fake to third and looking at first, to no avail as usual.
We have actually seen that play work once this year, which is shocking in itself.
Yes, that was an upset. Another Lord Charles for strike 1. The curveball is still working, that's for sure. Thompson has been red hot since July 1st. He has hit .390. Samuel diving back at first.
He and Chris James have certainly been very positive. I don't think you can say surprises for the Phillies, but they certainly are pleased to see those 2 young guys develop at the plate as well as they have.
Again, Samuel draws a throw. Sammy stole his 30th base of the year in the first inning. Greg Gross at third and Samuel at first, 2 out. A line drive foul outside the left field line. Pitch out. Samuel not running. And no play on, apparently. One ball, 2 strikes. Curveball, and Thompson just did nick the top part of it. Still another curveball fouled off, and the Counts lost that a little here in the 7th.
Well, he's been struggling a little bit, pushing and forcing the ball a little bit on certain pitches.
Samuel running, and a breaking ball is fouled off.
That takes its toll. It really does. Dwight Gooden has thrown a lot of pitches in the last 4 games.
Samuel running again, and a check swing foul in and out of the Philadelphia dugout. Another 1-2 pitch to Milt Thompson. And a pitch out, but this time Samuel not running. curveball missing a little high. So it's a full count, 3-2. Now Samuel will be off with the pitch again. Gary Carter reminding Dwight Gooden of that fact. The curveball is high, and again the bases are loaded. Dwight Gooden has walked 3 in the inning. One of those was intentional, but it was on a 3-0 count, and Dwight is going to be finished for the evening as Davy Johnson is out again. Batter. Hayes drove in the Phillies' first run in the first inning. He's 1 for 3. And a fastball for strike 1. Randy Myers has been impressive lately.
He's certainly throw because he's ahead in the count.
Strike 2.
Looked like a little cuff fastball, a little tight slider.
No balls, 2 strikes. Just low, 1-2. Fouled off. Somebody.
Strike ratio, 10 Ks. But he did struggle in the 7th. And that was a really tough pitch that Von Hayes fouled off right there.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
He is really spread out now.
The widest stance in the big leagues today. Fouls another one off. Check swing roller. Hernandez is there. Myers racing to the bag, gets there ahead of Hayes to retire the side. Good hustling play by Randy Myers. 3rd Avenue in New York. Keith is 1 for 2 plus a walk. He singled back in the first inning. And he takes down low ball 1. Hernandez has hit in 40 of the last 44 games, hitting about .340 during that period of time. He is now just 7 hits away from 2,000 for his career. Fastball, a strike on the inside corner, 1-1. And leaving as the winning pitcher at the moment. Foul on the play. Way back for strike 2. Also delivered a wild pitch. Off speed, fouled back, and the count's still 1-2.
76 games so far this year.
It doesn't appear too often. Inside to Hernandez, 2-2.
That is number 1 in the league.
I think to call.
I think he's about 4th or 5th, Steve.
Is he?
Lifetime. I think he's 5th lifetime right now.
Fouled off, and the count still. Now a full count.
You can see the club. Checking his chart down there on the bench.
All 4. Hernandez walks for the 2nd time in the ball game, and he is aboard the single to center. Strike 1. Strawberry drove in the Mets' tying run, the first run New York scored in the 5th inning with a base hit to center field. The Mets then took a 2-1 lead in the 6th, only to see Philadelphia retake the lead with 3 runs in the 7th. Inside, 1-1.
Calhoun used to be with the Houston Astros. They were always struggling to get that left-handed reliever. Calhoun did not fill a bill, but he has certainly been given an opportunity in Philadelphia.
Ripped up the middle for another base hit. Hernandez going hard will hold at second as Thompson gets to the ball in a hurry. Darrell with his 3rd hit of the night, and the Mets have the runners at 1st and 2nd with nobody out here in the 7th.
And Darryl Strawberry staying right in there on that breaking ball. Hits it back through the middle again. And Keith Hernandez makes a wise decision here to stop.
The Mets down by 2, but they have 2 on with nobody out. McReynolds has doubled and scored in 3 trips. And he takes a strike. Total crowd here, 46,835. Even though the game is sold out, they of course only count those who show up. And those who paid, 45,699. One strike to count. Grounded up the middle. Jeltz to Samuel and a double play. It's Aguayo at shortstop and not Jeltz. Samuel turning it nicely to first base, and on the Carter single to right field his last time up. One of the few times Gary has gone the other way. Misses the slider for strike 1.
Philly bull, they are 54-2. So they haven't given up too many leads. The Mets have a tough road ahead of them right now.
Punch to right field. Wilson going back, makes the catch just short of the warning track, and the inning is over. So Tekulve comes in and puts out the fire, even though with
and Leach immediately falling down. If you remember back in the Astrodome about a month ago, Leach had that, oh boy, Alan Ashby hit Terry on the right knee with a one-hopper back through the box. It actually chipped part of that cartilage. He could face surgery at the end of the year. I guess you're always aware of that weak right knee of Terry Leach. Another slider fouled away. So it's 1-1 to Mike Schmidt. Steve Bedrosian rarely comes in a ball game in the 8th inning. Never in the 7th, rarely in the 8th. It's usually reserved for the 9th inning. He will work an occasional 2 innings. Wow. Gotta wonder about the mound now. Yep. Terry is trying to rake out some of that. Right knee might be bothering.
Yeah. In fact, Davey Johnson and assistant trainer Bob Sykes are coming out. The way Terry delivers the ball, he puts some additional strain on that knee because he sort of moves his body toward third base and really shifts almost all his weight out over that knee in a much more awkward fashion than a more conventional pitcher's delivery.
Well, I have one question. If he's fallen 2 out of the first 3 pitches delivered to Schmidt, why didn't he fall when he warmed up? Yeah, he threw 10 pitches warming up and he didn't fall down.
Well, maybe you know, a lot of times there's a hole that gets worked in there differently from each pitcher. There have been a couple of left-handers in the game too who would land in a little different spot. Maybe he just hit the edge of a foothold there a couple of times. But you're right, Tim, and the major concern is when you see that knee, and that's why Davey was out in a hurry.
Schmidt fouls back another slider. Still 1-2.
Well, the Blue Jays and the Yankees winning in the National League or the American League East, and the Tigers appear to be safely in command at the top of the 9th, leading 11-3.
Toronto in first place in the American League East, and the Tigers a half game back. The Yankees 5 back, and the Brewers 8 back. Here at Shea, 4-2. Phillies top of the 8th. Fastball hit to right field. Darryl Strawberry there, and he makes the play. So Schmidt, who had started the swing and a miss, and Parrish missed that ball by about a Parrish. 0-1.
Even outside of Louisiana. Of course, the parishes in Louisiana used to denote county-like areas
As opposed to Catholic neighborhoods.
Right.
Another one, swing and a miss. so you would think that Leach and Carter will go right back out there since Parrish has shown no signs of adjusting.
Leach almost slipped and fell again and was able to regain his balance. If history holds true, I think we're going to see a different Lance Parrish next season in the National League.
I think that's a good thought. Just got a piece of this one. Still 0-2.
It's not an easy adjustment for any player to make. And earlier this season, Timmy, you brought out what I think is the most important point, and that is the fact that as a catcher, when you change leagues, you have about 10 times more things to worry about than any other position player.
Well, it's something that owners really should take into consideration. I guess they do. I'm sure of that. Another slider, and he hits it off the end of the bat. Not only does he have to worry about the opposing pitchers as far as hitters' weaknesses are easily found out, and most hitters know that everybody knows that. Know whether a guy's a low ball hitter, an inside hitter, an off-speed hitter, or something.
But it's happened so often with players who have changed leagues that even though they struggle initially, if they are players of quality, and Lance Parrish has shown himself to be a player of quality throughout his career, that second year, after they've gotten their feet on the ground, they can really take off.
Got him with a slider. Strikeout number 1 for Terry Leach, and with 2 out and nobody on, Glenn Wilson's the batter.
And coming to the plate, right fielder.
Now, Leach just sort of kept tantalizing that outside corner, and finally that pitch got the job done.
Wilson on the evening, 1 for 3. He struck out a couple of times, and he had an infield hit back in the 5th. 4-2, Philadelphia. Well hit deep to left field. Back is McReynolds, and this ball is out of here. So Glenn Wilson with a solo home run, his 13th of the year, makes it 5-2 Philadelphia.
At the plate, left fielder.
Wilson now at 51 RBIs, and he got all of it. Fat part of the plate and hammered to the empty, well, almost a couple guys out there, left center field bleachers.
Outside to Keith Hughes. So Glenn Wilson hitting the hanging slider, didn't hang for long. Fly ball left field. Kevin McReynolds is there, but the Phillies score another run on the 13th homer of the year by Glenn Wilson. It's 5-2. Philadelphia ahead of the Mets, middle of the 8th. We're back after this from American Express. Swing and a miss. That ball went down. 0-1. You don't see that type of movement from Bedrosian often.
Well, down and away to a left-handed hitter. As Artie Johnson on Laugh-In used to say, very interesting.
There's the high rider. It's 1-1 to Johnson. 5-2. Philadelphia on top of the Mets. Try to introduce a minor change occasionally. But when you get right down to it, you're going to see a fastball from this guy. It's going to have that type of movement. Over for Keith Hughes in left field. Remember Sammy, don't you? Popped up. And Parrish is back. And he makes the play.
Jumpers, rompers.
Number 29, Dave Magadan.
Magadan, as you see, hitting .325. 2 homers and 19 RBIs. And Dave has not had nearly that much success as a pinch hitter. He's 5 for 25 with a homer and 2 RBIs.
So Dave hitting for Rafael Santana, and Len Dykstra moves into the on-deck circle to pinch hit for the pitcher Terry Leach. Dwight Gooden started the game. He was very strong. He struck out 10, walked 3, but the Phillies reached him for 4 runs in 6 2/3 innings. Strike 1 to Magadan, 1-1.
Well, the Astros are leading San Francisco 3-2 in the top of the 8th inning. Kevin Mitchell has homered for San Francisco and Glenn Davis for Houston.
Ripped to right field, way back. This ball is out of here. Home run number 3 for Dave Magadan, and it's now a 5-3 ball game. That'll bring them to their feet.
Dave Magadan's second pinch hit home run. And the first one way back near the beginning of the season. This pitch down and in, and Magadan just ripping it. Only the 10th home run Bedrosian has allowed.
Terry Leach, number 4.
And boy, that one was one of those no doubt about it jobs.
Here's Len Dykstra to pinch hit for Terry Leach with 1 out and none on. Ground ball, right side, Samuel to Hayes to get Dykstra. 2 outs. He's walked twice, and he was intentionally passed in the second. Lee Mazzilli now out to pinch hit for Tim Tuffle. One and one to Mookie Wilson. Fouled away, 1-2. Tomorrow, both teams have an off day. Why don't they just reschedule it for Thursday? Give the team a night off. That has been done many, many times before, of course. Frank Cash and Al Harrison would be in charge of that, but the skies kind of cleared up today, and it's turned into a beautiful evening.
It also would have provided the Mets with some headaches they'd rather not have because of the sellout crowd, the fireworks tonight.
Yep. Got him on strike, so Wilson is down on strikes. Strikeout number 1 for Bedrosian. Dave Magadan pulls the Mets 1 run closer, but it's still 5-3 after 8. And
Ball 1. Strike over the outside corner, 1-1. And again, Bob Davidson giving the pitchers that borderline outside pitch. He's been doing it all evening. Fouled off, 1-2. And if you do it all evening, there's nothing wrong with that.
At least you're consistent. And Aguayo used to be consistent in calling me the Spanish term viejito. He used to arrive early at the ballpark with Julio Franco, who's now the shortstop for the Indians.
Strike 3.
And he and Franco used to call me viejito, and I thought, what a tender, sentimental term for one to have for an older player in the game. As you see the slider get, Luis, and I come to find out that the term means old man. It took me a month to find that out, so it was not nearly as endearing as I had thought.
After you found out, you probably wished you hadn't found out.
They would both smile and say, viejito. They'd smile, and I'd say, oh, it's really nice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
James hits it well to center field. Dykstra breaks back and makes the play 2 away.
Well, the Mets urge all fans planning to attend any of the Mets home games September 8th and 9th, or the 11th, 12th, and 13th this weekend, to take a train to the game, if you will. Due to scheduling conflicts with the U.S. Open, take either the Long Island Railroad or the Flushing IRT number 7 line out to Shea. It'll be faster and more convenient for everyone.
With 2 out and nobody on, here's Juan Samuel, who has a big base hit in this ball game, a 2-run single with 2 out in the 7th inning. And he takes a strike. You're watching Mets baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey.
Well, Doug's had as good a slider as I've seen him have in some time. Those are nasty sliders.
Late breakers.
Yeah. An ideal position.
Two out and nobody on, 9th inning. In the dirt. Ryder went out to get it and got an eye full of dirt instead of the ball. So it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
See Gary have that dust pop right up in the eye. I was talking to Howard Johnson about that play in Los Angeles yesterday. It was in the papers here in New York. That Hojo had something in his eye. And he said that he had asked third base umpire Paul Runge if possibly the black stuff they used for the glare to cut down on the glare was in his eyes. Runge couldn't see any, but then he made the good play and then threw the ball away in the bottom of the 16th yesterday.
Slow roller in front of the mound. Sisk off in a hurry and a good strong throw to get the speedy Juan Samuel in the inning. So a good strong inning for Doug Sisk, who retires the Phillies in order in the 9th. And we go to the bottom of the 9th here at Shea.
Backman hitting at 240. He's a switch hitter.
And there's Keith on deck. Strike 1, 1-1.
Don't be surprised if Wally tries to bunt. He bunted with 2 strikes yesterday in the 13th inning against Brian Holton. It was successful. Likes to bunt in these situations.
Swinging away here and a base hit to center field. That's only Backman's 2nd pinch hit in 12 at-bats this season, and he leads off the 9th inning and brings the tying run to the plate.
A lot of times when hitters step up there for the first time of the day and they hit a line drive somewhere, whether it's batting practice or not, one of their sayings is right out of bed. Well, for Backman, this might be literal, because all of the Mets showing up and dressing at 6:30 tonight, whether the weather was all right or not, they were going to not take batting practice.
Wally, of course, involved in a minor traffic accident. He was examined and released from the hospital. And certainly showed no ill effects there,
I'll say,
which is what you might call double good news for the Mets. Keith Hernandez has had a base hit, walked twice, and grounded out. He's 1 for 2. Backman draws the throw.
left center and right center, and that's what kind of hitter Hernandez is.
Strike, and it's 0-2. Sure does tail away from the left-handed hitters, though.
Yeah.
As if he wasn't already tough enough. Outside with a fastball, and the count 1-2.
Good lead.
But you see it all the time.
You do. And Bedrosian worried about Backman. They're playing this inning like they have a 1-run lead, and they've got a 2-run lead.
Did Keith hold up? Yes, says Terry Tatum. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Keith is so quick, he barely held up. But in fairness, he went as far as Glenn Wilson did in the 7th inning, in my opinion.
I think you're right. I disagreed with Rusty at the time that I didn't think he went far enough to have it called.
So the Phillies have a legitimate gripe.
2-2. Hernandez represents the tying run. Fouled.
And bunching really around toward left field.
Fouled off at the plate, and the count still 2-2.
For a pull hitter.
Another 2-2 pitch. And it's high.
I'd send the run on a strikeout, or at least that's what you have to consider.
The odds are against him.
Yeah, right.
Backman is running, and it's ball 4. Hernandez has walked 3 times on the night. And now the winning run is at the plate as Darryl Strawberry stands in with runners at first and second and nobody out. Strawberry 3 for 4. And a standing ovation. Makes the catch, however, at the wall. Backman goes to third. And Strawberry just misses, winning the ball game here in the 9th inning.
I'll tell you, I'd pinch run for Hernandez right now. Got second base open now. It's being cleared. Strawberry just misses this ball. It's in his zone, but he hits it right down off the end of the bat. Good swing. He just misses ending this ball game and having the fireworks show start a little earlier.
Number 25,
Keith Miller is into the game to pinch run for Keith Hernandez.
See, if it's first and second, you don't worry about a pinch runner, but you're going to use speed. Keith Miller can't hit and he can't field, but he flat can run.
And he is in there to do just that with Kevin McReynolds, the batter. Kevin is 1 for 4. Popped up and playable. Von Hay is calling for it and makes the catch 2 away. Now Von Hay's at.
That's Keith Miller. It's the only guy you worry about.
Now time being called again. Luis Aguayo, the shortstop, checking with second base umpire Jerry Crawford about something. Now we're ready to go. 2 out, 2 on, bottom of the 9th. Mets down by 2, and Miller draws the throw. Up and the ball game should be over. Mike Schmidt calling for it. Aguayo there, and Aguayo makes the catch. The Mets had their chances and left a lot of men on in this ball game as the Phillies came back in the 7th inning, scoring 3 runs and eventually holding on to win it 5-3. And the Mets will remain 3.5 games behind the St. Louis Cardinals, who were defeated by Montreal. The Expos now 4 back. Steve Bedrosian with his league-leading 36th save of the year, and Don Carmen, who pitched 6 innings, winds up as the winning pitcher for Philadelphia. The loser, Dwight Gooden, only his 5th loss of the year. Dwight now 13-5. Tim and I'll be back to wrap it up, and of course Ralph will be along with Kiner's Corner, all the scores for you as well as the highlights, so stay with us. The final again, Philadelphia 5 and the New York Mets 3. We're back after this for Budweiser. Steve Zabriskie and Tim McCarver back at Shea, where the Phillies have won the opener of this series 5-3, and Dwight Gooden has suffered his 5th loss of the year, even though he pitched very well and was cruising into the 7th inning. He ran into some problems, and it seemed like Tim, he lost his rhythm. He walked a couple of guys, and it just, the wheels came off for him.
It seems rather strange about a power pitcher. It seems like whenever he slows down, it seems like they're always in trouble. Not so necessarily with other pitchers. You notice Bedrosian in the 9th inning, when he got in trouble, things almost become by the numbers, and that's what it appeared that Dwight Gooden was doing in the 7th inning.